What are the cons of psychiatry? Hi guys, my name is Sissy and I'm a Ugandan medical doctor in the UK. I'm also a core psychiatry trainee, and in this video I'm going to be sharing a few things that I don't love so much about working in psychiatry. The first thing is the stigma. So there's a lot of stigma to mental health in general, and this stigma extends to professionals as well. So unfortunately, even within the medical professional, you'll find that if you work in psychiatry, you might have some stigma from other doctors. So for instance, some people think you're not a real doctor anymore. Some of my family members, I remember wondering, why would I work in psychiatry? Like, why would I do that? Like, there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation out there. But I think it's getting better now with time. Like, people are getting more aware and knowing the importance of our mental health. Mental exhaustion. So listening to a lot of people's traumatic experiences, people have had very difficult lives, and a lot of bad things have happened to people. So if you listen to this a lot, it can get to you at times, and that's why it's very important to have very good supervision. Where I work, I find that I'm very well supported and I have very good supervision. So if you've been bothered a lot by something, then you have someone to talk to. We also have access to therapy as well. So that's the good thing about it, but that's a potential con that can happen. So you need to have a good understanding of your own mental health to know when maybe it's too much and you need to take a break. Where I work, for instance, you'll be the only junior doctor covering the entire hospital and also covering multiple sites. And their nurses and their healthcare assistants and a lot of other staff as well. But they're usually in the offices and the wards, while for you, you're on call in the on-call room and you have to move from different places. So it's a bit isolating, which unlike the other medical specialties, like when I was in acute medical wards and you were on call over there, it used to be like there was this group feeling. There was a bunch of you who are all junior doctors that are on call together. You have the registrar on site and the consultant on the phone. While in psychiatry, you're the most junior person on the team in terms of you're the most junior doctor, but you're the only one who's on site. You have a registrar as well, but they're usually on the phone, and the consultants can be accessed on phone as well. The diagnoses are harder. So I think the diagnostic system in psychiatry is still evolving. Things keep changing. For instance, like ADHD is not going to be used. That's now going to be called hyperkinetic disorder. It's like you're trying to make people fit into boxes, which they don't really do. So, for instance, it's hard to get someone to fulfill all the criteria for a condition, and most times find that someone has a bit of this, a bit of that, and it can get a bit challenging to try and figure out what is the actual diagnosis. Of course, I'm still a junior doctor and I'm still training, so perhaps it gets easier with time. So the tricky thing about psychiatry is that for most of the conditions, there is no one particular confirmatory test. You can't do like a blood test for like depression, anxiety, mania. You can't do a scan to find out if someone has schizophrenia. It's very much subjective and it's all about talking. We have some tests, but most of the blood tests are to rule out. So you'll do blood tests to make sure that someone doesn't have like a tumor, or you do like a scan to check if there's a tumor or like an organic cause for their presentation, but there are very few actual confirmatory tests. The only subspecialty that has a bit more testing is old age psychiatry. So for like dementia, we use a lot of brain scans, but again, these are not also confirmatory. The only confirmation, I believe, is on brain biopsy, that's in post-mortem. But I think the field is evolving more, and hopefully we should get more of these. It's very subjective. For instance, for risk assessments, a risk assessment is where you are trying to assess someone's risk for, for instance, for suicide, and it's very subjective. So like there was a study that found that most people who do commit suicide were found to be low risk at their last assessment. So that just goes to show you never really know what's going on in someone's head. Even though some people think psychiatrists can read minds, this is not true, and we cannot. So if someone could invent a machine or like a scan that could be able to read people's minds, that would really be great. Yeah, so until then, you really can't know what's going on. If you enjoyed this video, then let me know by clicking like. And if you want to know why I continue to do psychiatry, because it's not all that bad, then watch this video next.